Sure, everyone. Hello. I am Ted Denola from Meta. I wish that I could be there with you right now, but unfortunately, plans didn't quite work out. Don't worry, I am flying in very soon, and I will be there tonight. So, tomorrow and the rest of this week, I look forward to being with you. What do I do? Well, I help folks make their games better. And I do that primarily for VR, the technical and design inflection, by knowing the formal process and pipeline to create a game very, very well. And all of this knowledge, I see a lot of games. I can sit there and I can help you broach your market, help you discuss things. I can help you do all of these things that don't. This is not what really matters. This is the business side of things. It's a game we all decide to play. And I have learned one thing in the short time I've got this done with Kiwis. I look forward to spending time with you, which is that I feel like I can just be a person with you. So, trigger warning, I'm about something a little bit mean. Here we go. Real title. Australia is doing it better than you. Don't know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. They're doing one thing better than most countries. It's all right. It's all right. I hope I woke you up though, because I need to wake you up. You have wonderful strengths too. I'm not sure what the timing of this is, but you may have heard like you're totally beating them at capitalism, which once again, not the goal, but being good at that is how we do the things that matter. All right, let me reintroduce myself. Hi, I am Ted. Lovely to meet you. I've been working in games for 15 years, which means I am a product of trauma. And because of that trauma, because I was living in the States where you have to learn to sell yourself or starve, I being able to saying this is really hard because we're all like you too. I'm just a little humble person. I don't know what I've gotten very good at what I do because I've had to. I've had to survive. And so when I was asked to give this guest speaking spot, I thought, God, there are so many brilliant, lovely people there that absolutely deserve to be up here just as much as me. I better bring my A game. So I'm very good at what I do. I'm gonna help you get there too over the course of this week. But let's talk about let's talk about that one thing, but not really. We're going to talk about the kind of like the state of games today. So let's get into it. First up, here is my history, just so you have it, my career as a speedrun. So I started in games, like I was making sure I'll professionally, internship at a place called Kerber Productions in Canada, went back to school, and then I started a company called Trendy, where I thought it was trendy, but I actually was put in charge of this mobile studio, and that was a nightmare. You can Google that. I went through a series of stable, boring companies that were fine. And I quickly realized I could not work that way. So I broke up and went indie with some friends called Mid Boss. We made a game. That's a fun story right there. I secured funding for my independent studio from a cloud company called Shinra. Google that if you want. That turned out really well. And then I joined a beautiful artistic studio called Phenomena. You should also Google them if you want some context. But I loved working there, but I burned out. And as I was about to be like, I don't know if I can stay in this anymore, I got pulled into a giant tech company, and it's been absolutely lovely. Absolutely. Hear all about this and more on Friday. Come on out to my keynote, or 9 a.m. is too early. Don't worry, it'll be recorded. It'll be recorded. Okay, cool. Hopefully you're all still with me. Great. That's great. You know who I am now. Lovely. I don't have much time. Let's get into this. Okay. Go away, Jiggle. Go away. Okay, cool. All right. Formal games are taking up too much space. Okay. They're taking too much space, and they're doing a really bad job of legitimizing our field because, well, we'll get into it. They're just the formal games. It's not good. Excuse me. I'm gonna be human. I need this right now. Oh boy. All right. Cool. First off, let me talk about what I mean by formal games. So I'm going to talk about the games field. Oh, not the games industry. My friend Brendan Keogh, he's a little bit of a pessimist, brilliant guy, wrote the book, The Video Game Industry Does Not Exist. And that book title is a little bit cheeky. I recommend you all read it. It is dry as hell, but you will thank yourself for reading it because it'll reinforce a lot of things you already know and give you a structure for talking about it, like I am about to today. And so Brendan sets this framework in there that is actually built in a lot of folks, which is a field is basically like on an axis of motivation from one side of creating the art, autonomic, like that is the value, that's your motivation, all the way up to heteronomic, external compensation, primarily in the form of money, but also recognition, acclaim. And within within a field, there are a bunch of basically positions, right? There are positions in the field. So one position, for example, all the way up here, games as product that we are doing for broad audience release, right? Games as a formal process of production. That's all they're there. They're there for money. Also, you see in my head. If you want to look at like what happens when you let business drive artistic decisions, oh boy, what they just need to put lines between the KIAOR. Give me lines at least, right? But if you're an American coming here for the first time and you see it, you're like, I owe a car. I owe a car. What is that? I just think, hello. Hello, right? Anyways, that is what happens. That is what happens when you let business drive art. You get things that seem flashy but are kind of shit. And so the opposite side of this, of course, is indie games, right? They're all the way down. No, indie games are trying to do it as a business too. They're up here, all right? Bottom end is a guy making games with their cats. But within a field, and this is the philosophical underpinning Brendan once again talks about, within a field, positions compete for legitimacy. They say, I am the only way to do things, and formal games just got there first. They said, hey, we're legitimate. 90s and 2000s, the only way to make big games was you had to work with platforms and publishers. You had standard business practices and optimization flows and the creative value. Well, that was your like raw material. You brought that in and you extracted that to create a product, right? And that was formal. And we've gotten a little better. We're like, you're like, oh well, this is legitimate. These are real games as well if they're high polish indie. We're happy to say Baldur's Gate and Remedy and Dredge made a lot of money. Made a lot of money, then you must be a real game because that's how we judge real games make money. Cool, but all of this is legitimate. And we need to get to that understanding if we're going to save our damn industry, save our damn field, save this corpus of work we are all involved in. Okay? All of us are involved in this. All right. So, why does VC hate us? Why don't we get money from outside games? And when I was younger, I used to think this way. I used to think that people were antagonistic. What I tried to do as I've gotten older and started working with more and more folks, and especially within Meta, I operate with people that have very different concerns, is what are the needs, goals, and constraints of traditional VC, and why does games investment not align with their targets? I call this radical empathy. Talk to me about it if you want, but basically start from assuming good intent, and they're playing by different rules. If you find out otherwise, it's cool. That's a whole different story. But assume good intent at first and work from there. So, what does VC need? Got to find the alignment. So their goal is to turn money into more money. Cool. That seems simple enough. And they do it as efficiently, predictably, and consistently as possible. Right? You want to minimize risk as much as possible on a reasonable timeline. Folks generally want an exit in 3 to 4 years is like kind of the upper end of that, unless you're working with some very special people that are very, very good at doing stretch. And then what are their constraints? Don't lose money. That's bad. This is obviously an oversimplification, and like this is my naive interpretation from the folks that I've known in this, and for what I can see. Right, I could be totally wrong, but their goal could be like murder all humans. It's probably not, because they are humans. We're all humans. We're just playing different games. So now we move forward. All right, cool. We have an idea of what maybe their ideas are, and we know what we need. We need money and investment for games, but once again, formal games development. They're the ones they're out there shouting, "We are the real way to do games," and so that's what VC are hearing with games. And so how does this align? So the goal is turn money into more money. Listen, a successful AAA game has to be so broad that like a 1.1 to 1.3x return, that is like a fantastic outcome, right? Like if you get 2x, wow, you're a legendary game. So that is not very exciting if I'm trying to efficiently turn my money in. Like that's not efficient at all. That's freaking like, here's some margins, here's $1 or $2 on a reasonable timeline. We all know that large formal games, they happen super, super quickly. And the constraints, of course, they want to not lose. This is not funny anymore. This is not funny because the way that they are building things, they're they like, it doesn't work. Like there's no way, even if everybody in VC is like, we love what you're doing, we want to make big shiny games, like it doesn't meet with their goals. But because they've occupied that position, they are now, all of the money and attention goes to them. And of course, you're like, oh, shit, this is a terrible business, right? Terrible business. So let's go back to here. Here's where we're at today. The way that people are doing things up here, the super formal games development process is just inefficient, and it also doesn't actually work with the way that games are made, because games are not products that can be predictably created. They are not fixed commodities. They are speculative, experimental, creative works. Even the most carefully constructed one has to be driven with creative vision first. So let's get rid of that. We'll bring where we want to position formal games down here. It can't look the same as it does today, folks. We know that. Probably has to switch from a creatives in service to the business to the business in service creatives. And that is fine. And the business can absolutely apply constraints, but it needs to be a relationship. It can't just be an extraction. Okay. Because all of this, as I said, all of this is valid, right? And as you go from the far side, someone making a game for their cat in their basement that only they play and like they're fucking having a good time, right? All the way up, what you're doing is you're increasing risk. And the more risk you have, the more you have to mitigate that risk. The more constraints you have to apply, because you have to understand, like, hey, when you're building something large that takes 200 people, okay, you need to make sure all those folks are paid and taken care of. And that means that you need to make sure all of your customers are able to enjoy it. And that means you have to make sure that the mechanics make sense. Like, you have to do things that you have strong confidence. Like you can still fail, but you have to check those boxes, all right? If you're responsible, be responsible with your game development, but not if you're all the way at the bottom, and that is fine. If you're at the bottom making weird stuff for your cat, or if you're, Natalie Lawhead, who is like just cool experiments, like one of the most talented engineers I know, and it's just like, I'm just making fun weird shit. Like, that is valid, because everyone is learning up. You can't make a Goose Game without weird experiments. You can't make a Dredge without giving them good taste targets to hit, and you absolutely can't make a Baldur's Gate without independent games being celebrated, because Baldur's Gate, which was held up at the Game Awards as an output of the game industry, is not that. It is not, we have tuned process and founded market. No, it is a bunch of incredibly passionate people who built the same game together and then built it bigger and then build it bigger. Because when you walk around town in chainmail in order to get the proper sound effects for different tiles, then you can build that in, even though maybe no one will ever even hear that, right? That is not doing things for business value and optimization. That is, you are so unable to not do that because you love what you're doing. You do it. Oh, also, yeah. Remember the angry thing I said before? Yeah, the one thing Australia's doing, they're funding down here. They're funding the research development. So that means that, like, not only is it like, hey man, just make games for your cats. Hey man, make games for your cats, and we'll make sure you have some food while you do it. And there's asterisks there. Obviously, it is not perfect. Talk to an Aussie dev sometimes, but we'll just lie and say they are funding all of it. All of it. Yeah, you can basically make all of your weird prototypes for free in Australia. This is not, I do not represent the Australian government. Also, this is not true, but hyperbole is great. Cool. All right. Q&A. I need you to talk to me. I need you to ask me questions. I need you to fill this space. And so I'm here for your questions, and I'm right. I didn't fly out on time because of all the nonsense that happened this morning. Okay, cool. We can do this async. That's what I would have done. You can go there, eston.net, and I have all my socials on there. Okay, I really prefer Blue Sky and LinkedIn and like Mastodon. Like, you have to use X. X isn't listed, but it's just at Eston. I guess you can go to Twitter and do it there, but send them my way. And then also find me. Find me. Well, if you want to find me, see that QR code all the way want to meet? You can scan that right now, or you can also just go to any of my socials I will be posting, like a link for you to grab time with me while I'm in Wellington. And if you want to talk about this, awesome. If you want to talk about game stuff in general, great. If you want to talk about VR and you're really that, they're the ones who pay me. They're the ones who allow me to talk about this kind of stuff. I mean, not allow. Well, listen, once again, this is not Meta's opinion. This is one weird person. But I am very good at what I do. And I am very, very good at VR. So if you want to talk VR, you want to talk about Quest, find me. If you want to talk games, find me. You want to talk about disrupting this industry and fixing it so we can actually get some attention, find me. It's been lovely having you. I cannot wait to meet some of you. Also, if I should hide someone, if this went really, really poorly, someone tell me. I'll just hide. It's cool. See you soon.